Hey friends, pull up a wobbly stool, ignore the goat chewing the table leg. And let's talk about the original all-nighters. Medieval parties. No strobe lights, no Bluetooth speakers, just candle wax ambience. A lute strummed by someone who's definitely been paid in soup, and enough mead to pickle a bishop. Ready, great? Dunk your tankard in the communal barrel, and let's roll. 1. Why medieval folks absolutely needed a party. Picture life when your alarm clock is a rooster with anger issues. Your work-from-home dress code involves actual dirt, and the height of dental care is hope you still have teeth next Lent. You'd need an occasional blowout, too. Harvest is in, taxes are paid, winter isn't murdering you, yet time to celebrate. For nobles, feasts were Instagram flexes before Instagram. Look at my roast peacock wearing its own feathers, peasant. For villagers, a feast meant maybe meat, actual music, and permission to face-plant into hedgerow wine without a monk citing scripture. Everyone's morale bar refilled, gossip refreshed, and by sunrise half the village discovered they were distant cousins by ale. 2. Invitations. Medieval edition modern, glossy card, RSVP. Maybe a Google form, medieval. A bailiff yelling, Lord Robert says, show up or pay another tax. Which oddly got higher attendance than your cousin's baby shower. Noble summons, sealed with wax, delivered by a page who pretends he's literate. Village party. The church bell rings at the wrong time of day. Congratulations, it's feast o'clock. Failure to appear? Expect side-eye for months, and possibly being nicknamed Old No-Show Nigel, which ruins your marriage prospects faster than plague breath. 3. Dress codes and wardrobe malfunctions. Nobility. Silk, brocade, and sleeves, so long you could smuggle a baguette. Want to signal wealth? Stitch seed pearls onto everything bonus if one falls into the soup? You just flavored it with money, peasants. Your one good tunic scrubbed until the mud is decorative. Maybe a sprig of something fragrant behind the ear so you smell less like, pigsty. Wardrobe fails were common. Long sleeves caught fire in candle flames. Bodices popped when someone inhaled too enthusiastically during a madrigal. In New Haven tea experienced mortal panic until a minstrel trips on a lady's train and drags half the high table south with him. Swan, or a whole roast cow if the host is overcompensating. Gravy, actually wine plus spices plus other drippings. Don't dwell on it. Subtleties. Sugar sculptures shaped like castles, dragons, or that one crusade nobody remembers. Pure edible look-at-me energy. The village spread. Pottage 2.0. Same turnips, now with celebratory salt. Ale. Thick enough to ruin a spoon. Surprise pie? Find a feather? Congrats. It was poultry find fur. All social classes bonded over the universal experience of post-feast regret. Also known as I can't believe I ate the decorative hedgehog pastry. 5. Beverages. Hydration is for cowards. Water was sketchier than a tax collector in silk, so everyone drank something fermented. Mead, ale, cider, small beer for kids. The legal drinking age was able to hold a cup. Stronger brews came with disclaimers like, may technically be a fire hazard. Hangovers treated by more ale. Wine traveled badly, so when it arrived unspoiled, nobles served it in gold goblets the size of toddlers. Peasants had wood or pewter mugs, occasionally sharing one vessel for community bonding, and definitely not because the host only owned 2 cups. 6. Entertainment. TikTok on a lute string musicians. 1 minstrel, 3 chords, infinite enthusiasm. Pay him in coins, or more often, leftover gravy bread. He will rhyme love with dove and plague with vague and call it art. Jesters. Medieval stand-up comedians whose sets included juggling knives, roasting nobles, and not dying. Success rate 60%. Dancing carol. Everyone joins hands in a big circle and steps sideways until ankles beg for mercy. Is stampy, fast stompy, performed by people who confuse dance with battle drill? Drunken shuffle freestyle, invented at 2 a.m., by Walter the Cooper after his 4th mead. Rules. If the musicians speed up, you speed up. If you fall, others leap over you like impromptu hurdles. Elegant. 7. Party games that could literally kill you. Hoodman blind. Blindfold tag. Hazard level. Stepped on toes to casual maiming, if weapons left lying around. Hot cockles. One guest kneels. Others slap him while he guesses who. Basically medieval HR training in workplace harassment. Prizes ranged from coins to fresh socks, to a hearty well done, you're still breathing. 8. Social dynamics seating charts mattered. Nobles closer to the salt cellar outranked those further away, a literal salty hierarchy. Ignore protocol and you risked side comments like, "Ah, Sir Gerald fancies himself seasoning royalty." Peasants self-sorted by how much they owed the landlord or which goat they'd recently borrowed. Flirting, expect coy glances behind veils and compliments like your eyes shine brighter than my best pewter spoon. Try any PDA and you might be married by sunrise or fined for excessive merriment. 9. Curfews, hangovers, and regret. City gates closed at sundown, so party guests either sprinted home before the portcullis dropped or crashed on the rush-strewn floor beside Uncle Bartholomew, the snorer.
Morning.
After church bells, daylight agony, questionable stains on your only cloak, plus the universal vow. Never this much meat again until next feast. 10. Why parties sometimes became riots to many tankards. Plus, one minstrel playing the wrong family's anthem equals chairs flying like trebuchets. Tavern brawls erupted over dice games, whose turn at the spit, or whether Robin Hood was overrated. Town constables arrived with clubs, scribbled fines none could pay, and confiscated the last barrel for evidence. Q Encore Riot. 11. Religious feasts. Holy hangovers, Saints' Day. Celebrations blurred lines between devotion and debauchery. Morning. Solemn Mass. Evening. Ale fountains, miracle claims such as "I swear Brother Edmund just moonwalked." Clergy tut-tutted but secretly appreciated tithes, skyrocketing after folks begged forgiveness for whatever they did behind the sacristy. 12. Wedding blowouts. Till debt due us party marriages were community spectacles doubling as tax-deductible raves. 3-day minimum, unless someone stole the dowry booze early. Day 1. Procession with torches and rowdy lute mashups. Day 2. Feast. Someone inevitably sets the gift table on fire. Day 3. Sleepy goodbyes. Awkward discovery of a troubadour passed out in the bridal bed, possibly still playing. 13. Carnival and misrule. When peasants ran the show once a year, society flipped. The fool became king. The priest wore donkey ears, and sumptuary laws took a coffee break. You could legally insult your landlord so long as you called it satire. Perfect time to test that new joke. "Nice doublet, my lord. Did your pig sew it?" Result roaring laughter. Until sunrise, when real hierarchy resumed, and you remembered pigs can't sew, but sheriffs can arrest. 14. Cleanup crew and morning after economic scraps fed pigs, dogs, and any guests still grazing at dawn. Broken mugs earned the potter overtime. Nothing wasted except dignity, which biodegraded on its own. 15. Legacy. Why your weekend brunch owes these maniacs the toast you raise, the band you hire, the regrettable dance circles at 1 a.m. Thank your medieval ancestors. They turned surviving winter into an Olympic sport and invented the whoop before champagne existed. Without their fearless pursuit of distraction, we'd all be sitting quietly in the dark, stone cold sober, discussing crop rotation. Pass the mead, friend, we've got 800 years of partying tradition to honor. Field trip to the monastery ale fest. Picture this. Stone walls humming with Gregorian bass drops, courtyard fragrant with malt, and rows of monks who look serene until the kegs roll out, then they transform into shaved-head party goblins. Monastic life was mostly prayer, copying manuscripts, and debating how many angels can dance on a lentil. So when the abbot declared an ale day, boom, sanctioned chaos. Arrival protocol, knock on the gate until Brother Porterius peeks out. Hand over your donation. Receive a wooden token. Good for 3 modest refills, monks speak 4 until you can T-spell Abba. Inside, the herb garden becomes a pop-up beer garden. Trestle tables. Signature brews, Lux Eterna Lager. Light, crisp, blessed twice, pairs oddly well with pickled turnips. Chastity triple, so strong you'll vow chastity. Break it, then vow it again. Benedictine blackout stout, rumored to cure envy by making you forget who you envy. Monks lead tasting notes like some layers. Notice the subtle hints of pear, clove, and last Tuesday's miracle. Everyone nods. No one tastes per-only buzz and holiness. Holiness. 17 drinking songs that slap medieval playlists were lyric-heavy bops about saints. Seasons, or that one cow who survived winter. The bangers. Gaudeamus igitur. College kids still belt it today. Original vibe. We might die young, so bottoms up. Timeless. Myriad is while Sumera last. Early English heatwave anthem. Chorus basically whines, winter sucks, pass the ale. In taberna quando sumus, clerks gone wild, listing the people drinking in the tavern, princes, paupers, random goat. Refrain translates to money in, memory out. When peasants sang, words devolved into vowel soup. When nobles sang, half the hall pretended to know the Latin. They mostly hummed until the hay bit. Universal, 18. Dance moves that could qualify as cardio. The monastery hires a traveling dance master, think personal trainer in tights. Yells footwork over the chanting. Bransel bread kneader. Everyone swings arms like kneading dough. Accidentally clocks Brother Ambrose. Instant penance lapse. Pavan of piety. Slow processional. Perfect for flirting while appearing devout. Step, bow, sip, repent, repeat. Leap of St. Vita's. Basically medieval pogo stick without the stick. Invented by pilgrims with too much cider and zero self-preservation. By midnight, everyone invents freestyle moves with names like squirrel churn or the beheaded trout. Future generations will call it folk heritage. Right now, it's just potential litigation. 19. Snack table, holy carbs, Batman bread trencher piled high with honey-glazed root veggies. Cheese cartwheels bigger than toddlers' dried fish. Crisps that double as roofing tiles, fig rolls the color of suspicious decisions, vegetarian. Congrats. Tonight's boar stuffed dash with dash partridge, dash stuffed dash with dash herbs might include a carrot garnish. 20. Flirting. Cloister style rule number 1. No touching. Rule number 2. Everyone's touching. Ace favorite techniques. Psalm swap. Slip your crush a scrap of parchment quoting Song of Songs. Spicy scripture. Shared candlestick. Strategically stand so dripping wax lands on both hands. Instant conversation starter, burn blister. Confession cue. Proximity. Kneel next to them. Whisper sins about envying certain radiant countenances. It's subtle. If sparks fly, you'll meet again at the pilgrimage inn. Pretend it's fate. Name the child chance. Monastery gates 2. Miss the bell and you're stuck outside with wolves and existential dread. Solution. Seek the porter's mercy. Costs 3 compliments and half your mead ration. Crash in the lay guest hall. Row of straw mattresses. Suspicious stains, but at least a roof. Impromptu vigil. Claim you're praying all night. Actually, you and 3 new friends pass a wineskin. Debate whether dragons are scriptural. Fall asleep on Psalms 73 to 78. Come dawn, brother cook. Steps over your pile. Mutters tourists, and ladles gruel like baptism. 22. Hangover cures the monks swore by eel necklace. Wrap a live eel round your neck. Its squirming draws out vapors. Mostly it draws screams. Blessed bread and water. Literally crum-infused holy water. Smells like a salad having an existential crisis but clears sinuses fast. The hair of St. Bernard. Watered ale served by a monk named Bernard who lectures you on moderation. Cure or punishment? Yes, results vary. Most effective treatment remains time and swearing to be a hermit until next festival. 23. When the abbot crashes the keg stand inevitable scene, abbot decides to inspect morale. Finds Brother Hugo upside down on a barrel, legs wobbling like relics in an earthquake. Crowd freezes. Abbot clears throat, quotes Ecclesiastes about seasons for everything, including 24. Peasant after party. Barn burner monks kick you out. Villagers adopt you. Someone's aunt brings a fiddle missing 2 strings. Fire pit sparks climb to heaven. Questionable mead flows from clay jugs labeled only with skull doodles. Games include pitchfork limbo name that stench spinning wheel, truth or dare. Sunrise reveals 1 roof tile missing and a new folk song titled Lute Strings and Turnip Fumes. Instant classic. 25. Regional variations in party madness, Scandinavian Juleblot. Add snow. Boar blood and scalds, reciting sagas between belches. Italian Ferragosto feast. Hotter weather, more olives, and dancing so suggestive Papageson types need smelling salts. Celtic lewdness ad games, athletic contests, plus poetry slams lose in either. Face public teasing by druids. Moral, change the language, keep the booze, remix the dancing. Eternal vibe remains, why is my tunic on that roof? 26. Merchants Guild banquet, networking with wine spillage. Invitation reads, trade, treaties, tarts. Agenda actually. Elbow people for better spice routes. Shenanigans. Salt toss diplomacy. Bribe neighbor with pinch of pricey salt. Now you're allies against the pepper cartel. Exotic dessert, one-upmanship. Candied ginger. Cute. Imported sugar sculpture of an elephant. Respect. Toast marathon. Every new deal sealed with a toast. By the 15th, nobody knows what they promised. Next week, half the city wakes owing silk to a guy whose name they misheard as Greg. 27. When parties become historical footnotes, sometimes, revels escalate into legendary chaos recorded by monks who really wanted to gossip. The Night of Seven Puddings desert contest turned melee. A pudding, catapults stained the manor ceiling for decades. Ale flood of Bruges, barrel pyramid collapsed, literal river of beer. 3 fishermen attempted to net it. St. Bibiana's table dance uprising. Townswomen leaped on tables to protest grain taxes. Outdanced militia, got tax cut. Feminists win via choreography. If your bash doesn't break at least one supply chain or prompt a PayPal inquiry, were you even partying medieval style? 28. DIY Medieval Party Starter Pack 1 playlist of hurdy-gurdy remixes. String lights, knowing garlic braids, and tea light-filled turnips. Replace charcuterie board with charwater, trenchers. Breads as plates. Meats stacked till they resemble property disputes. Mandatory toast and cotalatin. Bibomus maximus. Nearest pet wearing a paper mitre counts as spiritual authority. Congratulations, you're now 40% more authentic and your neighbors have questions. 29. The unspoken role of smells. Modern parties fret over scented candles. Medieval ones were scented candles wax, tallow, smoke, sweat, oregano, foot balm, and mystery cheese. Olfactory layering worked like this. Stage 1. Fresh bread aroma lures guests. Stage 2. Roast meats add savory depth. Stage 3. Bodies dancing become musk accents. Stage 4. Chamber pot wallflowers ruin the bass note. Stage 5. Incense rescue, attempt masks everything with holy cinnamon bonfire. By dawn, everyone's nose is broken, but the memory of good vibes lingers. Sneaking a party past Lent. So it's Lent, 40 straight days of grumbling bellies, no weddings, and priests side-eyeing any snack thicker than fog. Officially, merriment is shelved, but you've got a seaside tavern, a stash of smuggled figs, and friends who interpret penance as dance quietly. Step 1. Rebrand the rave. Call it a solemn fish appreciation vigil. Nothing suspicious about 50 villagers chanting holy mackerel while pounding tankards. Step 2. Menu loopholes. Meat is banned, but whales count as fish, right? Serve covert bacon disguised as salted dolphin. Dessert almond milk pudding, technically vegan, spiritually rebellious. Step 3. The priest patrol. Post a lookout. Friar Lawrence appears. Cue the emergency psalm playlist. Everyone drops to their knees, warbles something Latinish, and hides the eel sausages under the table. When he leaves, track switches back to the old booty banger. Inevitably, someone lights a lantern shaped like a rooster. Symbolism collides with hangovers, and by dawn, you've invented a new heresy called the Order of St. Party Hard. Congratulations, expect a summons to confession by Tuesday. 32. Troubadours in the art of getting dumped. Mid-serenade. Picture the lute dude. Feathered hat. Poetic soul. Voice like butter churned at sunrise. He camps under Lady Isabel's balcony, crooning, "Fair love, thine eyes outshine the dawn thunk." A chamber pot arcs overhead, barely missing his lute. The affair is over before verse 2. Why? Medieval breakup protocol says. Return of tokens. She drops his handkerchief into the moat. That's medieval 4, we're done. Counterballad. Isabel's Maid belts a savage response song accusing of rhyming dove with love too many times. Public roast. Local jongler remixes their romance into tavern comedy. There once was a bard from Poitiers, whose breath smelled of 3-day PTA. PTA audience roars. Drinks alone. Statistically, 8 of 10 troubadours end nights weeping into their own hat feathers. On the plus side, breakups fuel fresh material. Half the Shang Song canon is basically sad boy playlists pre-Spotify. It's 33, the great cheese rolling catastrophe of 1421, you've heard the legend. A wheel of double-fermented Weavern cheddar. 30 pounds of dairy dynamite rolled down Slater's Hill each Pentecost Monday. Now what the chronicles don't mention is the year gravity decided to spice things up. Phase 1. The launch. Sir Osbert, slightly soused, gives an extra push. The cheese rockets off the path, hits a goose, gains velocity and attitude. Phase 2. The pursuit. Young bravos chase it because tradition says whoever catches the wheel keeps it. Phase 3. The chaos. Cheese ricochets through the market, smashes an apothecary stall-lynched in cheese-splint business. Boom. Knocks the mayor's wig into a fish barrel, creating the first recorded tuna hairpiece. Lands in the church porch mid-vespers, where choir boys mistake it for a miracle. Aftermath. 12 sprained ankles, 1 crushed lute, and a new municipal ordinance. No dairy may exceed trotting speed within town limits. Yet the festival returns every year now with fences, helmets, and medics armed with crackers. 34. Blacksmith's forge-warming bash. When a smith finishes building a new forge, he doesn't just light a coal, he invites half the shire for molten mayhem. Guests bring scrap metal to toss into the inaugural fire for luck, resulting in an alloy the color of guilt. Highlights. Spark jousting. Contestants wear damp leather and duel with red-hot rods 6 feet apart. First to flinch buys ale. Anvil drumming circle. Surprisingly catchy until someone's hammer rebounds into the cider barrel. Iron fortune-telling. Host quenches glowing tongs in water. Steam shapes predict futures. Party ends when the quench trough boils dry, or the sheriff notices someone forging counterfeit pennies mid-toast. 35. Crusader homecoming potluck exotic spices baggage. And trauma Sir Hubert returns from the Holy Land with sand in his boots and recipe FOMO. He throws a banquet to show off. Eastern marvels. Saffron porridge. So yellow guests assume it's cursed gold. Half refuse, half Instagram. Sugar almonds. Previously unknown here riot at the dessert tray. Story time. Between dishes, Hubert recounts siege horrors in graphic detail. Appetite plummets, but no one dares complain. He's still wearing half his armor. After 3 courses, the minstrel strums an out-of-tune oud. Everyone cries. And the local apothecary sells record amounts of indigestion powder. 36. Pet pageants and other noble party flexes throw enough feasts, and you run out of standard stunts. So Duchess Adalisa invents the Beastie Ball, costumed animals parading through the hall. Categories. Best plumage integration. Peacock wearing miniature chainmail, its most improbable mount. Ferret seated on a corgi dressed as a destrier. Aquatic elegance. Goldfish and crystal goblet balanced on servant's head. Judging scandal erupts when Baron von Schnitzel's goose bites rival and still wins ribbon. Guests debate fairness. Goose honks triumphant. Stable boy faints. By midnight, the hallway smells like hay, victory poop, and mildewed velvet so. Typical Tuesday. 37. Tipsy theology. Debates that end in arm-wrestling intellectual parties. See scholars gather around a pitcher of thin wine and argue hot topics. Do angels have elbows? Can a trout be a legitimate saint symbol? Was Samson's hair actually a metaphor for gluten? Inevitable pattern. Latin quotes shouting somebody flips the trestle table. Arm wrestling to prove doctrinal supremacy. Winner drafts a new thesis. Loses quill. Forgets thesis. Wakes next day vowing to switch to cider. 38. Bandit bash in the woods. Outlaws need downtime too. Deep in Sherwood-adjacent thickets, they hang lanterns on branches, grill stolen pheasants, and play high-stakes dice. Loser guards the loot wagon for a month. Entertainment. Aim practice. Shoot arrows at dangling mugs. Each shatter earns cheer and shower of beer shards. Mask fashion show. Best tree bark disguise wins extra cloak. Terrible for stealth but warm. Ballad rewrites. Parody noble love songs with lyrics about tax collectors' dandruff. Party ends when dawn's rays reveal a night patrol cresting the ridge. Instant cleanup. Kick ashes, hide barrels, melt into foliage. If captured, claim your pilgrims rehearsing morality plays. 39. Hangover cure, showdown village v. University. Village recipe: raw hedgehog milk. Nettle tea, nap inside pigsty for grounding energies. Success rate: folklore. University physician's cure: pound of crushed emerald, ounce of theriac, purge with feather-induced gagging. Annotate. Results in Latin. Success rate: also folklore, but with footnotes. Contest judged next market day. Both patients survive. Villager smells like hedgehog, scholar bankrupt. Crowd votes hedgehog method, less stupid, scientific consensus, 14th century style. 40. Midnight mystery plays. Scripture meets flash mob guild actors stage surprise biblical dramas in streets at ungodly hours. Imagine stumbling home and suddenly, Noah's Ark wheels past on ale barrels, goats inside arguing. Jonah leaps from wine cask whale, smells like vinegar. Herod rants from tavern balcony wearing the hostess's curtains, audience half asleep, half lit, fully invested. Moral lessons blur. Was that about salvation or proper coopering technique? Either way, applause echoes until watchmen threaten citations for dramatic noise. The royal coronation keg flip of 1280 for every kingdom wants a crown ceremony people will remember. King Theobald II got his wish, and then some. Half the nobility arrived already tipsy from pregame wine tasting. When the steward wheeled out an enormous spice-tail barrel for the traditional blessing, somebody historians blame Sir Baldwin Biceps de Barty cited, barrel rolling was too mainstream, and attempted a standing backflip off the top. He landed. The barrel didn't. It detonated like a boozy water balloon, baptizing the new monarch, the archbishop, and 3 horrified falcons. The choir broke into impromptu drinking song. The crown slipped sideways. And chroniclers recorded that Theobald entered his reign well anointed in barley. Subsequent coronations featured smaller casks and guards trained in gymnastics interdiction. 47. Moat water synchronized swimming summer swelter. Castle moat, bored teenagers. Recipe for aquatic innovation. Lady Cecily dared her ladies-in-waiting to copy the court dancers except in water. They fashioned nose clips from rushes, dove in, and flailed to the lute strumming on the battlements. Shouts of make-a-lily pattern echoed while pages timed routines with hourglasses they absolutely did not understand. Mid-performance, a flotilla of leeches latched on like over-enthusiastic fans. The swimmers shrieked. The audience applauded, assuming it was avant-garde choreography, and a monk with the medical kit declared, "Excellent bloodletting. Carry on." Thus, the winner was chosen by which team had the fewest splotches after leech removal. Trophy: a jar of salt and an unofficial ban on moat ballet for the next decade. 48. Dice with Death, a minstrel's greatest gig. Remember Cuthbert, the tenor lute? Death certainly does. Legend says Death showed up at a plague-ridden tavern to collect souls. Cuthbert, 4 ales deep, challenged him to hazard. Wager: if Cuthbert won, Death would spare the inn for 1 full year and play backup percussion. If Death won standard soul-reaping package, first roll, Cuthbert lands a natural nick. Crowd cheers, Death scowls, but keeps his word, banging a rib-bone drum during a raucous jig. The locals created an annual festival to reenact it. Players rolled dice carved from sheep knuckles, someone dresses in a bedsheet skeleton suit, and the tavern keeps a spare lute just in case the real Reaper fancies a rematch. Odds remain uncertain, but so far no one's funeral dirge is in 4 quarters' time. 49. Bardic breakdowns. When troubadours discovered floorwork, medieval breakdowns was less windmills, more windmead. After hearing exotic rhythms from Moorish merchants, a French jongler attempted to spin on his knees mid-ballad. Tights tore like parchment, the plectrum flew, and the crowd erupted. Soon, every fair had ground reels. Performers clattered into spins, skirts ballooned, horses bolted. Judges scored based on dust clouds and whether the performer could stand afterward. Medical bills skyrocketed, but no party felt complete without at least one bard corkscrewing into a pastry table. By century's end, some towns posted warnings. No rotational poetry beyond this point. 50 potion tasting parties. Alchemists gone wild invite. An alchemist to game night, and suddenly, it's potion roulette. Copper stills bubble beside the cribbage board. Guests draw lots and sample concoctions labeled maybe flight, or like wine but greener. Side effects range from luminous belches to sudden existential epiphanies about turnips. Hosts' safety measures, buckets for vomiting, scribes for noting symptoms, and a sober friar clutching holy water. Best loved recipe was sparkle spice elixir, essentially cinnamon mead plus iron filings. Drinkers claimed they could see music. Onlookers mostly saw sparks shooting from maulers. The event ended when the friar pronounced everyone either cured or cursed. He wasn't sure which. 51. The Goosequill Karaoke Showdown Tavern in Flanders. Wednesday night, patrons pull random parchment slips containing half-remembered ballads. Rule 1. Sing it, no matter the key. Rule 2. Accompaniment by a two-tune hurdy-gurdy and a disgruntled goose honking on beat. Standout acts. Miller's Apprentice, performing Lament of Lost Lentils in falsetto. Audience wept. Nun visiting incognito, belting a tavern shanty. So bodied a monks burst into flame-free fainting. Goose itself, flapping into the spotlight, mid-chorus automatic champion, awarded a tiny laurel wreath it immediately ate. Next morning the tavern switched to quill-free straws. Nobody wanted repeat honk solos at dawn. Under noised firefly lantern. Hunt's romance meets friction burns. Some villages courted under starlight. This one chased glowbugs with clay pots. Couples paired off, racing through fields to capture the brightest cluster. Tradition said whoever returned first, jar ablaze, would share eternal spark. Reality, tripped over roots, tangled cloaks, 2 sprained ankles, in one memorable moment when the blacksmith accidentally netted a wasp nest. Still, nothing says love like comparing bioluminescence bruises at sunrise. Engagements were announced by whose jar kept glowing, longest occasionally replaced on the sly with a smoldering ember. Cheating, sure, but medieval romance was 70% persistence, 20% bribery, 10% insect bites. 53 Gong Farmers Appreciation Night. The folks who cleaned cesspits rarely heard thank you. So once a year the guild threw them a feast, far from open flames. Menu leaned on heavily spiced dishes to remind everyone smell can be flavor when chosen voluntarily. Highlights: roast onions stuffed with garlic, brown mystery stew, named Not Explained, entertainment bucket drum, ensemble demonstrating rhythmic clank and slosh solos. End of night, they paraded through town, wielding scented torches, cheered by citizens whose noses normally fled. At their approach, next morning back to the pit's butt with hangovers and civic pride. 54, lightning ale, and the clapboard tavern during a summer storm. A brewer discovered his rooftop barrels foamed like mad after a thunderbolt hit the chimney. He bottled the electrified brew and hosted a lightning ale launch party. Drinkers reported tingling tongues, hair standing aloft, and sudden propensity to invent curse words in Latin. Marketing brilliance. The brewer installed a copper weather vane wired directly to next season's batch. The tavern earned nickname. The clapboard for the thunderclap cracks overhead, each brew cycle in for patrons' hands, clapping ears in panic. Health authorities, meaning one board alderman investigated. And demanded a weekly cask bribe. 5-5. Cathedral choir flash mob sacred meets screeching choir boys trained. For months on a secret polyphonic gaudeamus. On Feast of St. Cecilia, they burst from behind pillars mid-mass, splitting into 8 harmony lines that ricocheted off stone like heavenly bees. Congregation gasped, bishop beamed, acolyte fainted. Unfortunately, the sub-prior's donkey, tethered outside, heard the high seas and replied with brays in perfect fifths. Flash mob devolved into livestock duet. Tourists loved it. Scribes copied donkey's amen phrasings into psalters. Music theorists still debate whether it counts as the birth of country-gospel 5-6. the epic pie fight of St. Swithin's. Fare what starts as friendly pastry judging ends as caloric warfare when a jealous baker discovers her rival sweetens dough with contraband cane sugar. She flings a rhubarb tart. It redecorates the town crier. Retaliation involves custard catapults, apple crush shields, a terrified juggler dual-wielding mince pies like CHAKRAMS. By the time watchmen arrive, marketplace is knee-deep in fruit. Sludge, children skate on gravy, and pigeons declare the square sovereign territory. Verdict: all competitors disqualified. Fair extended another day to eat the evidence. Local economy booms. Mental health plummets. 5-7. Nightclub. After hours. Armorer Ravril, one of nightclub. Bring your own helmet doubles, as punch bowl. Armorer clears the forge, strings glowing coals and iron cages for crimson mood lighting. Spins a hurdy-gurdy through a gear-driven crank-rigged to a mill-wheel medieval DJ booth. Knights compete in greave-slide limbo, armored racers skid. Across oiled planks, sparks award-style points. Visor popping lock. Breakdance, but only head and shoulders articulate creaky but hypnotic. Morningstar, candy stored in clay orbs suspended from ceiling. Last year someone forgot to swap weapon, now it's tradition. Sunup sees chainmail in tangled piles. Squire apprentices snoring under anvils, and one warhorse wearing glowworm wreaths. Having won the dance-off hoof-down.58, why we keep dancing. Through the dark, because winter will come again, taxes still lurk. And plagues never ask RSVP, but laughter echoes longer than laments. And nothing knits a community like chasing runaway cheese or serenading death. So light the torches, tune the lutes, and remind tomorrow's historians to pack extra parchment. Our parties aren't done yet. Caravan. Rave beneath the desert moon picture. A camel train halted at an oasis that looks like a mirage wearing palm tree earrings. Merchants torch braziers. Carpets bloom over sand, and somebody whips out a darbuka that's clearly seen more parties than tax auditors. Rules of the Moon Dune Disco. Dance only when the dune shadows look like waves. If your turban lantern goes out, place it with the nearest firefly jar. Any spilled date wine must be scooped into communal oops cup. Highlight moments, a spice dealer. Doing scorpion-style breakdance. Turban tassels spinning like propellers. Dervish twins whirling so fast they polish the dunes into glass. A philosophical camel chewing rhythmic cud. Observers swear it nods on beat. At dawn the oasis echoes with hangover prayers and the rattling of coin pouches lightened by impromptu gambling on which star will set last. The stars don't take bribes. 60. The princess. Who outlawed silence? Court of Valencian. Princess Melisande decided awkward hushes were worse than fleas. She issued the edict of perpetual sound. From sunrise until the moon hit the battlements. Someone had to be making pleasant noise. Enforcement squads a.k.a. the shush hunters patrolled. Catch you silent longer than 3 heartbeats and boom kazoo shoved into your hand. Results: blacksmiths hammered syncopated rhythms, inventing proto-jazz. Courtiers conversed in non-stop limericks, your grace, your face, your mace. Ah, alas, no disgrace. Even the library hired a page to whisper dramatic stage directions. So scholars felt less lonely. The only mutiny came from household cats, who expressed disdain by yowling louder, technically fulfilling the edict. Victory for feline loophole artists. 6-1. Bread Tower ambition and Siegel sabotage 3 rival bakers Crispin, Aloysius, and Hilda wanted to bake history's tallest loaf for Harvest Fair bragging rights. They erected scaffolding around a rising cylinder of rye, slapping on dough tiers like masonry mortar. Challenges arose. Yeast gained sentience. Tried to escape. Heat gradient baked bottom layers to charcoal. Top layers still raw hope. Seagulls mistook the loaf for seaside cliff. Dive bombing with gustatory zeal. Hilda summoned town fletchers to rig scarecrow kites. Crispin poured onion ash to deter birds, only seasoned the crust. Aloysius bribed the town crier to serenade gulls elsewhere. Final height: 14 men and 1 overly tall hat. Record lasted 8 hours until internal steam turned the tower into cascading stuffing. Spectators applauded, grabbed chunks, and invented bread avalanche sandwiches. 62. The lantern shield masquerade of Krakow guests arrived wearing bucklers. That doubled as candle lanterns' protective bling and portable mood lighting. Dance floor looked like a galaxy of wobbling constellations. Every twirl drew start trails of dripping wax. Game of the night. Shield snuffed dual partners spin and try to extinguish each other's flame with single puff. Loser buys honey wine. Chronic snuffers, nicknamed wind dragons. One over-enthusiastic baroness exhaled so fiercely she fainted into a lute, triggering an accidental power chord that set the room cheering. All agreed to keep the feint as part of choreography. Henceforth, 6-3 Festival of Questionable Instruments Artisans unveiled inventions that probably shouldn't exist. Bagpipe organ, goatskin meets bellows keyboard. Sounds like a choir arguing. Underwater, trumpet boomerang. Plays one note, then clocks the player on return and stand encore. Glass chicken ocarina. Pitch varies with poultry panic level. Audience donated grain for fortissimo. Judges awarded gold ribbon to the cobbler who tuned 12 shoes to pentatonic, scale, and tap danced the melody to Sumer is Ikumen. Bonus points for souls that sparked when struck literal hot feet. 6-4 potion-powered paint party alchemist Celestine. Brewed glowings from crushed fireflies and powdered moonstone. She invited townsfolk to fling paint onto convent walls, nuns away on retreat. By torchlight murals, pulse staints, breakdancing with dragons. Scripture quotes that rerouted into punchlines. When nuns returned, outrage lasted until nightfall. Seeing halos flicker neon pink made them snort laughter, secretly proud. Christened the building illuminated cloister and charged tourists a viewing fee. Celestine got 10% cut funding next year's Ultraviolet. Gargoyle Rave. 65 The silent booze auction that was at monastic cellars overflowing. Abbott decided on silent auction to maintain decorum. Participants write bids on slates, no talking. Problem. Scribes pre-greased chalk sticks. Writing squeaked like banshees. Soon, bidders resorted to pantomime, exaggerated coin stack mimes. Pleading puppy eyes, ballroom curtsies at the cask. Brother Matthew misgestured to crowns, but looked like peace sign. One legendary cherry mead for pocket change, prompting. A riot of envious squeaks louder than any spoken auction would have been. Decorum. 0. Entertainment. 10.66. Snowball tourney at Frozen Lake, Larkspur Knighthood. Meet Snow Day. Teams forge snowballs around pebble cores for heft. Dan Helms. An attempt to capture opponent's banner planted on ice. Hazards. Sudden. Thaws, stealth swans, and Lady Odette's overarm pitch clocked as siege weapon velocity. Battle ended when ice cracked, plunging both banners and one overexcited troubadour into waist-deep slush. Spectators declared draw warmed players with spiked goat milk cocoa. An invented new proverb. Bravery is knowing the ice is thin and charging anyway with snacks. 67. Midwife Moonmirth Feast Village honored midwives each spring. Babies, delivered in the past year, wore garlands and were paraded like squirmy trophies. Midwives judged ale quality blindfolded. Apparently same senses used to identify breech births apply to hops. Winter Brew rebranded First Cry Draft. Babies. Burped on cue, adding percussion to the fiddles. Some say the lullaby medley birthed Fogeas. 68. Why the revel never ends. Because every time a keg flips, a lute snaps, or a yeast tower topples, somebody nearby thinks we can top that. So they deuce in dunes, royal halls, snowy lakes, cloister walls, laughter ricochets across centuries. Daring the future to keep rhythm. The storm deck Kaylee of the Red Ganate pirate crew can endure doldrums. Scurvy and off-brand rum, but not boredom. When a black squall rolled toward the Red Gannet, Quartermaster Morwenna yelled, "Perfect dance weather," and declared a Kaylee on the main deck. Dance floor preplash crates to railings for impromptu. Fiddler platform chalk. A real pattern on planks. Chalk washes off any way creative chaos welcomed. Issue anti-slide sandals, greased canvas, paradoxically helpful because everyone slips in equal measure. fiddle saws through rain, crew link arms spinning faster than the wind wheel. Each wave becomes a drumbeat, each lightning bolt a strobe. When a mast-top lookout backflips into the set, the captain just shouts, "Mind the cannonball promenade." By dawn, the storm's gone, rigging's tangled like hair after a tavern nap, and a parrot has learned the entire chorus of Heave Away, Me Hearties backwards. 70. Chest of Cursed Castanets, the Cayley's finale. From a dubious necromancer, polished bone castanets said to wake the dead. Turns out that's literally each click summons a spectral drummer nobody invited. Spectre politely asks tempo preference, before slapping an echoing beat that rattles the hull. Pirates unfazed, jam along. Ghosts get free passage to next port, provided they clap off beat for comic relief. Insurance palms a note. Ship now rated for poltergeist percussion, 7-1. Herbalists cook up giggle, fog back on land. Apothecary twins Theta and Essel tire of competing ale vendors at Midsummer Fair. They brew thyme, lavender, and fermented. Turnip rind in copper cauldron. Channel steam into leather bellows, and release mist over revelers. Result, contagious giggles, zero coherent speech. Town record for spontaneous cartwheels. Side effects logged, hiccups expressing themselves as bird calls, mayors forgetting tax speeches, reciting pig Latin blessings instead. One monk laughing so hard he canonized the concept of tickling. Merchants complain nobody can finish. A bargain mid-snort yet, profits soar because customers buy everything while wheezing with joy. The twins pat and giggle fog under Guild Claw's benign mischief. Aroma. Next year, City Council books them to replace fireworks. Less fire risk. More abdominal workouts. 7-2. The printing press meme war of St. Dunstan's Alley early. Presses turn out prayer books until a bored apprentice, Milo Inkblot, discovers movable type can rearrange psalm verses into punchlines. He prints leaflets featuring St. Jerome holding a cat captioned, "When the Vulgate hits, but the heresy won't quit." Competitor shop across the alley retaliates. Broadside of a door bishop over thou shalt not. But I did anyway, see. Confession for details. Soon presses blast satirical woodcuts at dawn. Townsfolk collect them like trading cards. Rival memes escalate. Distracted peasant woodcut. Farmer eyeballing. Ale barrel while plow sighs in background. 2-panel crusader gag. Panel 1 BRB. Saving souls. Panel 2 skeleton with sword. Caption 5 years later still. Buffering. Bishop tries banning meme sheets. Ban itself becomes meme. Final truce brokered when scribes unite to publish charity calendar. Shameless monks of mid-continent. Tasteful yet questionable. Proceeds fund new orphanage and larger ink vats. 7-3. Courtyard yes-and tournament. Improvisation goes medieval inspired by meme mayhem. The Guild of Players hosts improv battles. Rule, never say no, must agree and escalate. Sample round. Player A. Behold, a basilisk under your bonnet. Player B. Yes, and it's crocheting me a second bonnet for winter. Audience throws cabbages for weak punchlines, coins for gold ones. By final round, plot involves tax evading dragons opening a bakery chain. Jury 3, nuns and a goat crown winner. Goat headbutts cabbages at contestants in perfect comedic timing. Unanimous victory, 74. Night market candle, Mazertisan stack. Crates to create labyrinth lit by mirrors and beeswax tapers. Patrons must navigate to reach the cider stall. Wrong turn leads to wandering lute troubadour, who serenades them until they tip or successfully outrun couplets. Secret passageway, push. The barrel labeled not secret. Inside, smugglers sell glowing quills that leave starlight trails on love letters. City guard knows, pretends not to. Too busy racing each other through maze after hours. 75. Perpetual pie. Clockmaker Hugo decides clocks should feed you on the hour. He engineers iron gears, powering a carousel of mini pies. Venison at 9, apple at 10, mystery at 11. Trust the gears, Hugo insists. Trouble. Gears jam. Fling pies catapult style into town square. Lesson learned. Appetite indicates time better than pie shrapnel. Still, nobles commission portable pie watches bracelets with thumb-sized hearts. Chronicles mark fashion era sticky wrist renaissance. 76. Scribes versus Minstrels Trivia Brawl Tavern. Sets quiz night. Categories include obscure relics, goat-based proverbs, and number of saints named Agnes. Scribes dominate until lightning round guess that unrhymed couple. Minstrels triumph by sheer improvised rhyming, despite questionable meter-sparking tavern chant. Quills are quelling. Strings are spelling. Winner's prize. Month-long bragging rights etched on tavern beam. 77. Catapult carnival engineers repurpose retired siege engines for funfair. Pay a groat. Launch. Rotten apples at painted ogre targets. Hits. Produce plume of feathers. Why not? Tiny burlap sacks. Of flower seeds onto fallow fields. Accidental civic landscaping. Daring juggler named Pip volunteer. Pip lands in Haycard. Declares it best commute ever. Starts charging for repeat rides. Town council baffled but notes increased crop diversity and reduced. Boredom finds .78. Love letter lanterns on the river. Wide a festival finale. Couples. Write messages on rice papyrus. Fold into lantern boats. Set afloat. Local ducks immediately board vessels, reading secrets aloud in quacks approximating vowels. Romantic? Debatable? Memorable? Absolutely. Ducks become oracles. Matchmakers consult them for gossip translation, pay in breadcrumbs. Ducks grow robust. Local proverb arises. Never fatten a fowl with your feelings. 79. Why the quills keep scratching. Because a storm deck Kaylee teaches pirates to polka through peril. Because laughter that drifts on time vapor cures more ills than any leech. Because ink and parchment, once weaponized for piety, now duel with Wittand. Everyone wins. The battle bells of St. Frothwald, monks everywhere, brew ale, copy parchments, and occasionally levitate with boredom, thus the Abbey of St. Frothwald. Invented full contact bell dash ringing. Rules carved on oak. 2 teams, North rope and South rope. Each peel must include at least one acrobatic maneuver cartwheel. Barrel roll, holy dab closing parenthesis. First team to drop a clapper buys the other a cask. Opening round. Brother Ignatius executes triple spin, lands in choir loft. Crowd roars Gloria in shred Chelsea. Counter team unleashes Sister Petronilla, guest ringer, zero fear. She swings so high her sandals orbit. Resonance shatters the prior's spectacles into perfect musical fourths. Match ends after both. Bells harmonize into a note, rumored to cure foot fungus. Tournament adopted by 5 nearby monasteries. PayPal envoy arrives to audit miracles, leaves with ringing ears and 2 barrels of consolation ale. 81. Black powder confetti, and the unintentional. Second Sunrise Alchemy Guild wants pizzazz for Founder's Feast. Apprentice Hugo mixes sawdust saltpeter and crushed beetles for color into celebratory puffs. At midnight, dignitaries gather in courtyard, counting down with mismatched Latin numbers. FZZZ, tea powder blooms into glitter storm, brighter than dawn. Painting sky vermilion. Side effects. Bishop's mitre scorched stylish ombre ducks on cathedral roof launch south 3 months early. Local rooster. Confused by second sunrise, crow's retirement notice. City charters immediate ban on big boom confetti but quietly hires Hugo for next coronation, stipulating only less poultry trauma. 82. The Queen's subaqueous mass queen, Adelind, decides masquerades are pass unless held underwater. Royal carp pond drained to waist depth, floor scattered with pearl shell tiles. Guests dan lacquered masks fitted with hollow reed snorkels. Outfits range from Maronite scale mail to kelp couture. Festivities. Ripple waltz. Partners glide, trying to keep skirts afloat. Best splash symmetry wins sapphire shells.koi-tag. Attendant releases royal koi. Catching one gently earns royal favor and fish naming rights. Harpsichord canoe trio. Musicians float on barrel raft, playing eerie aquatic chords amplified by amphory culmination. Queen unveils phosphorescent eels forming living chandelier. Beneath arch bridge. Court poet writes. 600-line ode. Court laundress writes bigger bill for soggy brocade. 8-3. Traveling tilters and the joust of Very. Wrong Mount Spring Fair attracts riders lacking horses, but brimming with optimism. Contestants arrive on one cranky cow named Penance, a pair of synchronized goats tied together team entry, an ex-warhog in chainmail, lances shortened to broom handles for safety. Crowd votes style over impact. Cow rider wins after moo harmonizes with trumpet flourish. Prize golden horseshoe promptly resized into cow shoe. Cow unimpressed. But local smith starts selling matching sets marketed as bovine bling. 84. Herbal roulette banquet druids host supper where every course features an unknown herb. Color-coded candles predict effects. Green flame, delightful vitality boost. Blue flame, mild hallucinogenic. Choir of onions, flickering purple. Possible spontaneous. Bilingualism goose Latin. Countess selects purple. He spends evening debating metaphysics with pastry swan and flawless Occitan. Herbalists take notes. Patent philosopher brioche. 85. Candle Shadow Puppet Opera Guild of Chandler's stages tragedy using giant linen sheet and a battalion of tallow. Candles, shadows, portrayed doomed lovers, scheming bishops, accidental dragon. Mid-performance, drip of molten wax morphs, villain silhouette into melting giraffe. Audience interprets as avant-garde symbolism, weeps accordingly, encore demanded. Chandler's improvised comedic epilogue where wax giraffe becomes saint of tall perspectives. Relic trade booms and miniature giraffe. Candles. 86. The Nap lottery of Windmere peasants of Windmere cherish sleep above coin. Harvest Festival introduces raffle where first prize is legally protected. Midday nap winner excused from all chores while town guards enforce quiet radius. Ticket frenzy ensues. Villagers swap geese. Poetry, even mother-in-law visiting credits. Winter Old Meg, the weaver hoists victory turnip, retires to hayloft, guarded by volunteer choir humming lullabies. She dreams of tax-free wool futures. Wakes to discover second prize lifetime mug refill accidentally awarded to her goat. Goat immediately horns tavern door and exercises right. Tavern keeper adds clause, humans only before next lottery. 8-7. Midnight. Marmalade heist Ball Confectioners Guild, stores citrus delicacy behind triple locks. Prankster nobles throw masked ball next door, during quadrille stealth team siphons. Vats through sugar glass tubes, filling ballroom fountain with glowing orange ooze. Waltzer swap gloves for toast, dunk mid-world dress codes, sticky but spirit superb guild arrives to investigate, slips on marmalade, is bribed with dance, and unlimited jam fountain access. Resolution passed. Henceforth, all guild security protocols must include rhythm-based checkpoints. 88. Scriptorium speed. Dating Gabus. Tired of distracted scribes doodling hearts and margins, organizes illumination mingles. Participants sit at long. Desk. Have 3 torch flickers to co-estrate a miniature with stranger before bell rings. Collect mini folios. Score partners on flourish flare. Inks platter artistry. An ability to draw convincing saintly eyebrows. Most coveted pair draws St. George hugging dragon symbolism. Conflict resolution. They elope to start joint workshop, invent early comic strip. Abby proud, though margin doodles now triple 8-9. Why even naps deserve a parade because Windmere proved rest can be trophy-worthy. Because bells that crack heavens keep hearts awake. Because underwater candlelight on koi scales teaches courtiers to breathe differently. History's revel isn't just endless noise, it's rhythm, pause, boom, and hush stitched together like coral parchment. Midnight glassblower. Sprite Race Guild of Glazers swears tiny fire sprites haunt their furnaces. One equinox, they throw a rainbow night race. Molten gathers tapped into fist-sized globes. Prentices sprint the courtyard carrying poles with glass bulbs glowing red-hot at the tip's instant neon relay. Rules. Out. Don't drop your globe obvious. Overtake. Only on fountain corner splash risk accepted. Winner secures bragging rights and gets to name. The year's signature stained glass hue. This year's Victor Lark, the bellows girl, who christens the color sun-kissed turnip horizon, cathedral. Windows now blush in vegetable chic. Pilgrims debate theology of produce. 91 Mathematician Marinus. Probability drinking games Marinus the abacus bard sets up tavern night titled Algebra. Each round, roll to carved walnut dodecahedrons. Outcome dictates drink size, toast, genre, and dare intensity. Snake eyes. Mini ale, and recite prime numbers till hiccup. A perfect 12 to 12. Flagons the size of helmets and must propose wild theorem all goats are secretly obtuse triangles. Wildcard 7 to 11 combo. Crowd chance proof or chug. Either derive equation or sculp hint. Both usually attempted, neither finished by. Midnight. Marina's experimental curve shows probability of vertical posture approaching 0. Data recorded on bar floor and spilled mead. Peer-reviewed by passing cat. 92 Statistical hangover remedy raffle, morning after algebra. Marinus randomizes cure kits. Salted pear, mint compress, philosophical quote, or small bucket of eels control. Group blind trial reveals 68% placebo effect. 100% eel. Resentment. Paper submitted to University of Mostly Sober Arts. Filed under methodology dubious. Findings slimy. 93. The runaway saint statue's homecoming Bashwood. Carved effigy of Saint Branglin. Vanished from chapel. Local legend says she walked off seeking better acoustics. Weeks later, villagers spot her drifting downstream on hay raft, accompanied by frogs croaking polyphony. They haul her ashore, throw homecoming fate, procession with lanterns. Each step accompanied by duck drum cadence. Potluck limited to foods beginning with bee bread. Beet stew, bewilderingly spicy biscuits. Crowd invites. Statue to bless new bell answers with resonance identical to frog croaky. Miracle. Marketing says yes. Chapel installs wheels on plinth. Schedules quarterly saintly stroll to keep her wanderlust sated. 9-4. Alchemy tinged shadowboxing tournament evening fog thick. Alchemist rivalry cultivates luminous powders dusted on gloves. Duelist swing, punches paint trails, glowing constellations spiraling in air. Judges award points for artistry, not contact. Victor spells their name mid-uppercut. Audience ooze, inhaling glitter. Coughs enlightenment for 3 days. 95. Shepherd's Echo Choir and the Valley of Second Voices shepherds discover. Certain hillside bounces sound perfectly, so they test with drinking songs. Echoes return harmonized a third above, like invisible backup band. Word spreads. Promptu concert draws travelers. Witnesses swear they hear phantom goats harmonizing. Conspiracy emerges that Valley is auditioning for Celestial Choir. Locals. Sell Echo tickets anyway. 9-6. Cobbler crafted tap shoes for horse blacksmith cobbler. Duo unveil iron-soled dance shoes for parade stallions. During debut gavotte, cobblestones sparked like meteor shower. Horses salsa sidestep accidental samba cadence. City council stunned immediately commissions equine ballet of urban brilliance. Street sweepers less pleased. Broom sparks, now side effect of culture. 97. The unreasonable board game of kings and cucumber knights inventor Alaric delivers. Chess variant where pawns are pickles skewered on toothpicks. Bishops swapped for cheese wedges. Rulebook inscribed on cabbage leaf. Objective unclear players. Mostly eat their pieces. Victory declared when board empty. Belly full. Royal endorsement pending cook union. Lobbying hard. 9-8. Moonlit. Parchment cinema minstrels. Stretched linen on granary wall. Paint sequential story panels with glow ink move. Lantern behind to scroll. Village kids gasp at animated illusion. Dragon flaps. Baker flips pies. Miller's wife winks scandalously. Elders whisper, "What sorcery?" Youth answer. New story torch tech. Grandpa keep up. Scholars predict future empire of moving. Pictures, scribes, panic about career prospects. 9-9. Why even probability tastes? It's better with mead, because risk and revel walk hand in hand from molten glass foot races to statues on sabbaticals. Every gambit, dice, dance. Spring the guild of falconers camps on Castle Green to preen both birds and egos in the airy. Elegance, extravaganza. Runway. A rope strung between turrets. Models. Falcons in bespoke, Jessies in tiny velvet hoods, dyed jewel dash tones. Program highlights opening strut, birds glide down rope. Hoods whipped off mid-flight to reveal daring. Crest gel styles. Glove couture. Handlers sport gauntlets and brocade. Chainmail, or experimental lettuce leaf eco-friendly. Wilt dash prone, closing parenthesis. Grand finale. Team routine, where 12 gerfalcons spell wow. Above the audience using dyed tail feathers, half the nobles faint from delight. The rest sneeze teal plumage for days. Best dash in show is Lady Zephyr, wearing pearlescent anklets and performing a mid-air barrel roll. Prize, a silver perch and lifetime supply of premium dormice. Rumor says next year's theme is steampunk sparrowhawk blacksmiths, taxed harder than inherited sins. Baker Corvins. Moon, crust, belangery. Lanterns doused, shutters barred, oven coaxed with quiet chanced. Doors open only at the 12th bell. Customers knock thrice, whisper password, sticky whispers, and you rebel rolls. Spirals dripping illicit spice sugar, shadow, scones. Charcoal ink glaze. Makes them invisible to guard patrols until you bite and glow with shame. Closing parenthesis. Sin-A-min swirls. Come with parchment apology note pre-signed for confession. Corvins look out Alhoot's code if excisemen appear. Trays vanish beneath false floor, replaced by perfectly legal rye. Biscuits taste like remorse. By dawn, half the town sports cinnamon breath and goofy grins stacks clerks baffled. Church donation box, mysteriously heavier. 102. Earthquake rave platform summer fate in the valley. Jugglers, jousts, jugs of ale. Then the ground trembles. Minor. Quake cracks flagstone plaza into natural subwoofers. Every tremor thumps deeper than any drum. Minstrels, ever opportunists, drag lutes and hurdy-gurdies onto the largest slab and declare seismic soundstage. Dance protocol. Jump when the ground does double bounce for style. Loose tankards become maracas. Sloshed ale counts as special effects. If fissure opens, treat as limbo bar scoot under, shout Earth's embrace.
Alf.
Engineers scribble notes on resonance. Peasants invent new step called tectonic two-step. When the quake subsides, musicians beg Mason Guild to leave stones uneven for acoustics. City council shrugs free amphitheater saves budget on wooden risers. Geological Survey later files report titled Rock and Roll, literally. 103. Lantern Lute Courtship Duel 2. Suitors wooing Miller's clever daughter Maeve decide to settle affection via musical light contest by the mill pond. Each strings glowworm lanterns across lute sound holes. Every chord shudders the insects, flickering like living strobe. Round 1. Sir Burrick plays syrupy ballad. Lanterns pulse hearts crowd, Oz. Round 2. Piper Jonk strums jig so frantic. Glowworms initiate Morse code. Apothecary deciphers message. Send help. Too much rhythm.
Hi.
Maeve laughs till dawn, picks neither. Opens a dance school instead. Hires both as lighting crew. 104. Probationary jesters. Prankathonu jesters. Audition before royal panel, queen, archbishop, and sullen cat on cushion tie-breaking vote. Challenges. Pun gauntlet. Deliver 20 puns in 20 stride strip. You start over. Pud Jodge recital. Recite genealogy while avoiding custard salvos. Finale. Interpretive mime of economic inflation featuring a literal goat bladder inflating too. Bursting cat selects winner by sitting on their lap Sir Wimlet, whose bladder popped precisely on Bishop's punchline. Contract signed. Cat applauds internally. 105. The OMZ Bowl, shuffle during feast of Saints Misers. Townsfolk place bowls. In square, revelers must dance between them without spilling purse coins. Proceeds go to poor endless dancer missteps, then coins scatter, and watching children dash for loot to gleeful loot riffs. Treasury notes donations rise 47% when loots quicken tempo. Economic scholars coin term charity. 106. Brewer's bubbleverse inventor, brewer Elodie, infuses ale with yeast that produces stable bubbles the size of apples. At tavern debut, patrons blow foam bubbles, which float glowing mixed with glow-glass dust before bursting into tiny sparkles smelling of hops. Poet claims bubbles carry snatches of tavern gossip heavenward. Church investigates, concludes. Bubbles pop before reaching doctrinal altitude, no heresy. Cheers accepted. 107. Cabbage cart, derby disaster and delight, annual vegicart. Race sees farmers convert produce wagons into speed demons. This year's twist, must steer using only leaks tied to axle. Mid-race. Cart number 3's wheels sling sauerkraut onto spectators, causing chain reaction, skid. Crowd roars, stench formidable. But sauerkraut softens, crashes no. Injuries, new snack. Trench globally admired, winning farmer sells perfume essence to Brassica, limited demand. 108. Why even the ground likes to dance because falcons flaunt runway twirls. Cinnamon wakes, taste buds, rebel hearts, and earth herself can't. Resist dropping bass. Celebration's secret. Turn every rule tax, tremor, talon into rhythm. Treat every risk night raid. Runaway saint. Wobbling Stonaw's partner. The minstrel meteor shower picnic every August. The sky pelts earth with free fireworks. And the wandering minstrels of Greenmoor seize the occasion. Blankets sprawl across hillside like drunken patchwork. Lutes, vials. And one suspiciously electronic hurdy-gurdy time traveler allegations, unproven tune beneath the stars, concert rules, play only songs with fire. Sky or my heart is a flaming turnip in the chorus. If a meteor flashes, mid-verse. Restart louder Cosmos clearly wants an encore. Last chord should coincide with streaking star for maximum romance. Miss the cue by everyone's cider. At peak shower, a blazing bowl-eyed whooshes overhead. Bard Elwyn shouts that one stole my melody. Crowd howls, hurls applause, ham traditional, and the hillside glows with candle jars until dawn wonders why she's being upstaged. 110. Stargazer snack spread picnic menu curated for cosmic vibes. Milky Way goat cheese. Dusted with powdered violet petals tastes like dairy optimism. Comment. Corn cakes. Tales of sizzling honey sugar that drip onto tunics, fashion upgrade. Dark matter truffles, nobody sure what's inside. Rumors include fig, pepper, and philosophical doubt. Local shepherds contribute galaxy garnish. Tiny edible flowers sheep refuse to eat because legend says they buzz gently when a meteor passes. Science uncertain, its flavor undeniable. 111. The Duel of Dueling. It's Duel's Pizza Plate Perry edition too. Captains schedule a sword contest. But tavern chef mistakes the date and bakes 15 gargantuan flatbreads for post-duel carbs. Combatant shrugged. Why not duel with the pizzas? Guidelines hastily chalked on barrel. Crust edge equals blade. Mozzarella counts as blinding flash if slapped into eyes. Any topping lost to ground considered blood. Final strike must deliver pun. Olive to fight another day. Keta. Match ends when Sir Renard's pepperoni buckler collides with Dame Sin's anchovy saber, creating an aromatic explosion that floors spectators. Judges declare tie. Remaining slices served as war reparations. New martial art, Peace Affensing born. Featuring Parmesan Perry's and Basil Ripostes. 112. The secret guild of dramatic size. Torrets. And overworked scribes form covert society devoted to perfecting the sigh. They meet in abandoned wine cellar. Great exhalations on longevity vibrato. An existential weight. Champion Sire Esme performs a 40-second lament, so poignant a nearby torch snuffs itself in sympathy. Rumor spreads. Nobles now hire guild. Members to sigh at feasts whenever conversation lulls instant pathos. Guild's motto, we breathe, therefore you feel. 113. Monastery's competitive quiet, the silence co-hobby of Saint Murmur, believes true piety is louder when silent. So annual contest crowns the hush holiest monk. Events. Loud thought wrestling. Contestants stare at each other, trying to project mental noise. Audience judges by eyebrow twitches. Bell temptation. Novices parade ringing handbells beside competitors. Any flinch equals disqualification. Scroll, shuffle finale. Participants. Copy psalms on crinkliest parchment imaginable must. Finish without rustling above cricket volume. Brother. Lucius wins after Al hoots in his ear, and he doesn't so much as blink. Trophy. Crystal hourglass that makes no sound when turned, sand replaced with apologetic air closing parenthesis, 114. Whisper. Lay around the cloister to celebrate silence cup. Monks run relay while passing single whispered syllable. By finish line, it has morphed. From ammon to ham, kitchen interprets as lunch request. Victory feast follows. Divine miscommunication never tasted so good. 115. Herbal sleepwalk procession village healer. Nettie brews. Moonbloom tea, promising dreams on legs. Volunteers sip, then parade asleep through streets, eyes closed, guided by silver ribbons tied to waist. Audience places gentle obstacles feather piles. Lavender hoops to test somnambulate agility. Highlights. A snorer skips rope perfectly. Another sleeps through her own applause. At sunrise, drinkers awaken in communal haycart with free loaf labeled, "Thanks for the show." Side effect. A week of vivid déjà vu, some call it art. Others call it unpaid street sweeping those feather piles. 116. Portable rainbow Hamlet traveling troupe paints wagon canvas with lime, indigo, and regret. Inside, mirrors bounce lantern beams to project shifting hues on actors. They perform truncated Hamlet all ghosts, all soliloquies, 0 corpses, each. Scene color-coded, melancholy equals blue, revenge equals red, existential waffle equals plaid. When Polonius echo becomes chartreuse swirl, spectators gasp, toss coins, and one troubadour proposes. Play ends with Hamlet surfing rotating prism declaring the rest is polychrome. Critics bewildered. Peasants simply delighted by free. Light show 117, shoemaker's moonboot leap contest cobbler Yorick, fits springy rawhide soles. Challenges townsfolk to moonjump across orchard. Rules. Touch clouds metaphorically. Land without screaming literally. Obstacles include apple branch limbo and midair high-five checkpoint. Record leap by Fisher. Lad Tobin clears 3 goats and a gossiping ant. Poots. Awarded honorary constellation named Capra. Side business booms every teen orders. Pair local roof suddenly dented. 118. Why stars keep falling for us because minstrels serenade the cosmos until it blushes meteors. Because pizza can be sword, shield, and peace treaty. Because silence roars loudest when monks compete for it. Joy magnetizes miracles celestial culinary. Or cobbler crafted in history's party keeps coaxing the impossible to crash the picnic. Cider powered. Cloud sculpting on windy ridge farmer, Breeza discovers that spraying warm spiced cider from bellows into a brisk updraft creates fluffy, amber-tinted clouds. Poor city folk. No, she sells tickets to Sky Carve Saturdays. Event flow guests sip leftover spray to calibrate creative vision. Teams pump cider fog upward, then rake it with willow branches to shape dragons, crowns, or uncertain blobs politely praised as abstract. Judges award ribbons by shouting from hayloft once shapes drift low enough to resemble something on. Purpose. Winner sculpt this year. A perfect foaming tankard fate dunked it in sunset fire, and everyone toasted the sky back. Downside, bees love caramel vapor. Beekeeper sells emergency veils at premium, inventing secondary revenue stream. 120. The bureaucrat who invented holidays on a whim scribe clerk. Talfrin files so many petitions he slips an extra parchment labeled. The day of unscheduled merriment. No one notices until date arrives. Calendar blank, taxes paused, magistrate shrugged. Well, decree's a decree. Citizen sees chance. Bakers give away misshapen rolls renamed Liberty Loaves. Guards. Ditch helmets start juggling pikes. Mayor hosts impromptu goat parade because why not? Success breeds sequels. Fog appreciation, EV2 Sock Tuesday. An annual paperwork bonfire archivist still bitter. Dolphin promoted to improvisational administrator, tasked with spacing holidays far enough apart that livers in ledgers. Survive. 121. Dragon Flute Flash Mob and the Accidental Tariff Treaty Merchant Guild. Deadlocked over spice tariffs with neighboring duchy until Bard Liana recruits street musicians wielding flutes carved to look like tiny dragons. Mid-negotiation. In town square, 40 performers burst into syncopated hissing trills. Spectators think actual wormlings swooping. Negotiators dive under tables. Papers scatter like snowy surrender. Realizing panic looks bad for business, both sides sign provisional treaty to calm the dragons. Terms: reduced tariffs, plus annual music festival, to appease fictional beasts. Liana, appointed draconic trade envoy, earns stipend and endless story material. Rumor that real dragon heard melody and feels. Underrepresented talks scheduled 1 to 2. Pickle jar stomp orchestra, inspired by dragon flutes. Townsfolk empty pickling barrels, punch holes, and stomp rhythms through brine slosh. Sound somewhere. Between thunder and disgruntled walrus, surprisingly danceable. Tavern Records live album Brackish beats volume. Blaze on loop during arm wrestling league. Sodium levels soar, but so does morale. 1, 2, 3. Candle maze hide and seek for adults who should know better. Potter's Guild lines alleys with thousands of tea lights inside colored jars. After midnight, they extinguish torches, release contestants. With masks and gentle rule, if you bump someone, compliment their shoes before fleeing. Game ends when last seeker finds Exetor Sunrise chickens and forced curfew. Memorable moments: Smith hiding inside, Kill still warm stealth sauna. Baker lost 3 hours in red jar cul-de-sac, but found new cinnamon contact illegal. See Part 9. City sweeps wax puddles next day, molding them into souvenir candles shaped like confused players. 1 to 4. The goose feather confetti cannon to close unscheduled merriment day. Talfrin commissions blacksmith to pack goose down into mini mortar. First volley coats plaza in soft snow. Second volley adds ink-dipped plumes instant festival autographs on faces and tunics. Goose union files squawk grievance. Compensation paid in surplus cider fog bees. See section 119. Geese appeased. Feast proceeds. Confetti cannon, patented for weddings, guaranteed feathery forever memories. 125. Munkron quiet quill speedwriting. Derby Saint murmurs Abbey spins silence cup fame into fundraiser. Scribes race to copy same psalm. Quills glide, sand sprinklers set ink, crowd silent except for frantic feather scritch. Winner completes scroll in time it takes novice to blink reverently thrice. Auctioned scroll fetches hefty purse from nobles craving limited edition. Hush. Funds by Abbey new bell never rung. Mired for its hypothetical resonance. 126. Panpipe pasta night chef Donato claims noodles sound musical when twirled right. He drills holes through oversized macaroni, assembles whistle flute. You slurp. As you play, rival diner counters with lasagna accordions. Street erupts in carbohydrate cacophony. Dieting declared impossible within city walls. Traveling troubadours call it symphony. TO 127. Why paperwork needs more confetti? Because one stray decree birthed holidays of goats and freedom loaves? 'Cause cider clouds remind sky to taste? Joy. Because a dragon carved from cherry wood flutes negotiated peace faster than 60 gilded scribes. Laughter tightens every loose quill stroke. Revelry patches every tariff tear.